You are really going through with this, he said, barely holding back the hurt and anger in your voice. Jungkook raised an eyebrow. His expressions were cool as he straightened his suit jacket. This isn't personal, it's just business. Don't mix the two. Right now, you both were standing in front of each other, staring into each other's soul, and anyone could say that. You let out a bitter laugh, looking away. Right, business. That's why you are dragging my father's company to court, putting everything he built at risk, because it's only business. His jaws clenched and his dark eyes narrowed. I'm doing what needs to be done. Your father's company broke the law, now they have to pay for it. You took a step closer to him, refusing to look away from him. Don't pretend, Jungkook. You're doing this to get back at me, and we both know it. The words came out sharper than you intended, carrying the bitterness you had tried to hide. His expression didn't change a bit as he took a step closer, closing the distance between your bodies. Your faces were just inches away, but you both refused to look anywhere else except each other. There was intensity in both of your eyes. If you're thinking I'm doing all this for you, believe me, you are not the special Miss Choi. You think I'm here because of you? Your heart pounded at the iciness in his voice, but you held your ground. Your voice shook slightly when he spoke again. Then why? Why you go after my family? Why this? Jungkook scoffed, a humorless smile just to mock you. You really think I would be here wasting my time for you? Let me make one thing clear. He stepped closer, his gaze dark and piercing. I have no interest in getting back at the woman who didn't believe me, who left without so much as a second thought. His words felt like a punch, and the bitterness hit you harder than you expected. You started to say something, but he continued, You didn't trust me back then, and I don't owe you anything now. I'm here to make sure your father faces the consequences. Plain and simple. So that's what you are now, isn't it? Just a cold, bitter man willing to hurt anyone who gets in his way. You said, trying to stand strong, to not let him see your weakness. His expression hardened, and there was something unreadable in his eyes before he replied. Believe whatever you want, but don't expect me to back down, not now. With that, he turned and walked into the meeting room without looking back, leaving you alone in the hallway, haunted by the memories of a past you never left behind. You took a few deep breaths, trying to steady yourself before you entered the meeting room. You didn't want to look or sound weak just because of a few words you keep hearing all the time when you are with him. In the past, you and Jungkook were deeply in love. You were only 18, young and head over heels for him, and you truly believed you had found something real and lasting. But your family saw things differently. Jungkook didn't come from wealth or a powerful family, and to them, he didn't belong to your world. They saw your relationship as a threat to their image and decided to put an end to it. Your parents went to great lengths to separate the two of you. They fabricated lies, convincing you that Jungkook had been unfaithful. Friends and relatives echoed these rumors, adding to the false accusations and making sure you believed them. At that age, and under the pressure of those you trusted most, you started to question Jungkook's loyalty. Feeling heartbroken and betrayed, you cut ties with him, leaving without ever giving him a chance to explain his side. Years passed, and while you moved on outwardly, the memory of that time and the regret stayed. You didn't realize how much those misunderstandings and lies had destroyed until now. Jungkook's bitterness towards you wasn't something you could easily explain, and his distant, cold behavior was a painful reminder of the hurt he had carried for so long. Now, years later, you're forced to face Jungkook again, but this time as enemies in a legal battle between his firm and your father's company. The tension is high, and you can't help but wonder if there's any chance to undo the hurt from the past, or if his anger towards you is now permanent. Jungkook, who once loved you deeply, has turned into a man who can't forgive the woman who broke his heart. The room was tense as the meeting started. With your father taking the lead, he spoke confidently, explaining that his company had done nothing wrong and the allegations were just misunderstandings. All our contracts are legal and clear. There's no reason for the accusations. Across the table, Jungkook was silent, sitting back with a calm but intense look. Though he mostly focused on your father, his gaze kept drifting back to you, his dark eyes holding a hint of challenge and bitterness. Every time you caught him looking, his expression was cold, reminding you of the anger he still held. We have documentation proving otherwise. Your company's practices, as you can see here, he slid a separate file across the table, have consistently skirted legal boundaries. This case won't end well for you. You couldn't hold back anymore. You're just using this case to settle a personal score, aren't you, Jungkook? You interrupted. Your tone was sharper than you intended. His eyes flicked to you, cold and unyielding. If you think this is personal, then you're not paying attention. This is about consequences, Miss Choi. You both looked each other intensely before you looked away. You were angry, jealous, especially after seeing the woman sitting beside him. She was his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend, and seeing him with her, you just couldn't stop being jealous. After your father finished, one of the lawyers on Jungkook's side, clearly curious, glanced towards the woman beside Jungkook. And who might this young lady be? She's the one who filed the complaint, yes? Jungkook took a glance at you, his eyes were fixed on you, holding no emotions. Yes, she's the one who filed it and she's my soon-to-be wife. The words hit you like a punch. For a moment you were at a loss for words, feeling the sting of his statement, and it only seemed to intensify his gaze. He watched you, his expression blank, but his eyes filled with unspoken anger, as if he had said it just to hurt you. Your father chuckled mockingly, a smug look on his face as if he had already won. Jungkook's jaw tightened, and you could see the anger shimmering behind his calm expression. He was trying to stay composed, but the tension in the room was like a storm ready to break. Then you looked at the woman beside Jungkook, the same woman your parents had used years ago to make you believe Jungkook was cheating on you. It was her presence, that familiar face from your past, that made it hard for you to breathe. The realization hit hard. This was part of their revenge, and now Jungkook was playing along. Because that night, when you both were drunk, he confessed everything. How hurt he was, how he never moved on, but how he can never forget what you did. Just because he was poor, you believed in all the lies. He introduced her as his soon-to-be wife. Something inside you broke. You couldn't hold it together anymore. The room felt suffocating and your legs started to feel weak. Excuse me. Without another word, you rose to your feet, trying to keep your composure as you excused yourself, feeling everyone's eyes on you as you made your way to the door. You didn't look back, but you could feel Jungkook's gaze following you as you left the room. Your father looked at Jungkook angrily, but he ignored him. Let's continue the meeting, he said without any expression. You stumbled out of the meeting room, barely managing to find a wall to support yourself as your legs threatened to give out. Your chest felt tight, like all the air had been sucked out, and tears pricked the corners of your eyes, blurring your vision. For years, you had told yourself that it was all a lie, that the accusations your parents made about Jungkook back then were just fabrications to tear you both apart. You blamed yourself, lived in guilt for not believing him. You had convinced yourself that he could never betray you like that the love you shared was too real, too deep, but seeing him now, introducing that woman as his soon-to-be wife, without a second thought, twisted everything you had tried so hard to believe. A bitter realization washed over you, filling every corner of your mind. Maybe your parents were right all along. Maybe he truly had cheated, and you were the fool for ever doubting them. All those nights spent questioning yourself, clinging to a love you thought was still there, it all felt pointless now. Your hands shook as you pressed them against your chest, trying to hold back the tears threatening to spill. It felt like the final blow, a confirmation of everything you had fought so hard to deny. The pain of betrayal was raw, cutting deeper than you had imagined. Jungkook came there, his chest tightened seeing you like that, all weak and broken, but he was determined to make you feel the way he felt when you walked away, leaving him. It was so hard for him to recover from that, and maybe he never recovered. He never thought you would believe them and doubt him even after knowing how much he loved you. Not only they accused him for cheating, but they hurt his pride just because he was poor and not a fit in their world. Now he has everything and he's willing to get you back, but not just like that. He never even looked at any other woman even after so many years. His only motive was to prove you, to prove everyone wrong who insulted him and his pride. He slowly walked behind you. I didn't think you would walk out like that. Did you really believe that things would stay buried forever? Your jaws clenched and you straightened yourself to face him. Your eyes showed hurt and anger. I thought you were different, that what we had meant something, even if it was a long time ago. Jungkook's jaw clenched, but he kept his expression unreadable. We were young, naive, maybe you more than me. His tone was sharp and bitter. So was this all part of your plan, bringing her here, calling her your fiancée, just to hurt me? Jungkook's eyes darkened as he took a step closer, the intensity of his gaze sending a shiver down your spine. Do you really think I need a reason to hurt you? Maybe this is just who I am now, the man your family taught me to be. You angrily grabbed his collar more than anything. You were hurt. A while ago, when you thought you might make things right, the physical bond you shared, to realize there's still that love, even stronger. You felt betrayed once again. Stop blaming them now. Maybe it was all true. You are a liar. Maybe what happened was for good. You were actually that type. Enough. Jungkook's sudden roar startled you. His voice sliced through the air like a blade. His hands gripped your wrist, pulling your clenched fist away from his collar, but he didn't release you. Instead, his face was inches from yours. You don't get to stand here and accuse me of lies when you never even tried to hear my truth. Why it hurts you now, huh? When you are the one who turned your back against me when I begged you to believe me, where were your feelings that time? His eyes were teary, red with anger and hurt. It wasn't the only you who was suffering. The pain you caused him was nothing in front of the lie he said just to make you jealous. So this is it. You're willing to throw everything away to lose whatever shred of decency you had left just to see me suffer? He held your gaze, his expression flickered for a brief second before hardening again. Maybe that's what I want, to see you suffer, to make you understand what it felt like when you left, when you believed everyone but me. Oh really? Then what about a few weeks ago? You let things happen between us. You didn't seem so bitter then, did you? Or was that just another game to you? You started pulling away from him in anger. That wasn't part of any plan. You think I didn't feel anything that night? You think I haven't thought about it since? But that doesn't change what you did or what your family did. And that's why you brought her here, the same woman my family used to drive us apart. You call her your fiancée to hurt me, and you stand here acting like you are the victim? He came closer to you, his eyes were fixed on you. I never needed a reason to hurt you, and you are so ready to believe that I would betray you, just like you did years ago. You think I betrayed you? You never saw how they broke me down, made me believe things about you that I didn't want to believe. I was 18, Jungkook, my parents, I trusted them and I thought I was doing the right thing. And yet you still think you're right. This shows you never loved me enough to trust that I can never cheat on you, and you are once again doing that. You came near him, Jungkook's heart clenched seeing you like that, but he wasn't less heartbroken. All this time he worked hard to stand in front of you one day and make you realize your mistake. Alright then, you want to see me suffer? If you want to take your revenge from me, then we should forget everything that happened between us. Maybe we weren't meant for each other. Saying that, you turned to leave and walked a few steps before everything started to spin around you. Wyan, Jungkook called your name when he saw your state, and before you fell down, he caught you. Wyan, open your eyes. Your father and lawyers came there. Wyan, what did you do to my daughter, huh? Stay away from her. Someone call the ambulance. He said, coming near and tried to separate Jungkook, but he picked you up, ignoring him completely, and rushed towards his car. I won't let you come into my daughter's life again. He called his driver to follow Jungkook's car. Jungkook was standing with the doctor at the door after he finished checking up on you. There's nothing serious here, Mr. John. She simply fainted from stress and exhaustion. Jungkook's brows furrowed. He wasn't convinced. You also got conscious. Then why did she faint? She's usually strong. The doctor hesitated, glancing between Jungkook and the file in his hand. Actually, she has fainted due to her condition. She is in the early stages of pregnancy. The words hit Jungkook like a jolt. He blinked, his eyes widening as he processed the news. Pregnant? He repeated, almost as if he hadn't heard correctly. The doctor nodded. Yes, just a few weeks along, but this level of stress isn't good for her health right now. She needs rest and a stable environment. Jungkook stood there, unable to form a response. You already got the news. Jungkook looked towards you. He made his way towards you without a second thought. He clearly remembered everything that happened between you, and you weren't dating anyone at this point, so he had nothing to doubt about. You knew this? You looked away because you already got to know about this a few days ago. Wyan, I'm asking you something. This is my child, right? You looked at him, eyes teary. Would you believe? You don't even have to do anything with me then. What's the point? The point is that this child is mine, and I'm sure this is mine. You're barely able to hold your tears. He never doubted you for once, even after all that happened. Before you both could talk further, your father stormed inside the room and he straight came to you, giving a sharp look at Jungkook, who was standing there unbothered. Fine, you okay, my princess? What happened? Did this man do something? Dad, please, I'm fine. Mr. Choi came near Jungkook in anger. I told you to stay away from her. This is your doing, isn't it? Jungkook didn't answer at first. His gaze was on you. His expression was unreadable again. Finally, he looked up at Mr. Choi. His voice was steady. I'm not leaving her. Not now, not ever. She's carrying my child. Your father took a step back, stunned, and his expression was of a shock. He looked at you while you lowered your eyes. Is this true, Wyan? Are you really carrying his child? You looked at him before nodding without hesitation this time. Yes, Dad, it's true. Are you stupid? How can you believe this man once again? How could you do this? Did you forget everything that happened? Do you not remember what kind of a man he is? The kind who would hurt our family, drag us through this mess. And now you're actually telling me he's the father of your child? And what about that woman he just introduced as his fiancée? The one who brought in to cause us even more pain. Do you realize what you're doing, Wyan? You looked at him confidently while your eyes were filled with tears. I know what I'm doing, but did you realize what you did back then? She's the same woman you used to make me believe Jungkook was cheating on me, isn't she? I can't believe you decided to break us apart just because he wasn't as rich as us. I wish I was strong enough to not believe you. He once again manipulated you. You're not having this child. I will never allow. You cut him off in the middle. Dad. He looked at you shocked because you never dared to oppose your father. This time, I'm not letting anyone else's decisions or doubts tell me what's wrong or right for me. I know what I want, Dad. And it's to be with Jungkook. We are having a child together, and that means more to me than the past. You looked at Jungkook, who was standing strong, but his eyes were weak and vulnerable. He was tired of this and wanted to live a life with you. You are making a mistake, Ryan, and I hope you realize that sooner than later. With that, he turned and walked away, leaving you and Jungkook standing together. You looked at Jungkook. Your heart was heavy and you knew you have to say all those things you always wanted when you thought you'll meet him. You hurt him by not trusting and you deserve to apologize for that. Jungkook, I'm so sorry for everything, for not trusting you back then, for believing the lies. I thought I was doing the right thing, but I can see now how much I hurt you. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I just didn't know what was real. Jungkook's eyes softened as he took a step closer. He lifted a hand to your face, brushing away a stray tear that had slipped down your cheek. I know, Ryan. We were both hurt, but none of that matters now. I never stopped loving you, even when I tried to convince myself. The rawness in his voice pulled at something deep inside you, and you realized that his love had survived through all the pain, anger, and betrayal. Jungkook, he whispered, feeling the warmth of his hand on your face, grounding you. You were everything to me, and you still are. There wasn't a single day I didn't think of you, no matter how much I tried to push you away. Even when I was angry, I still loved you, Ryan. A quiet sob escaped you as you reached for him, letting your arms wrap around his waist. He pulled you close, his arms strong and warm around you, his heartbeat steady against yours. The embrace felt like a balm, healing all the wounds the years had left between you. I was afraid it was too late, that maybe I had lost you for good, but I still love you, Jungkook. I never really stopped, even when I told myself I had to. You confessed, burning your face against his chest. Jungkook pulled back slightly, just enough to look at you, his hands cradling your face with such care. We are here now, that's what matters. I want us to be together, Ryan, and I want to be here for you, for our child, for everything that's to come. I want that too, Jungkook. I want us to finally have the life we dreamed of. He leaned down, pressing a soft kiss to your forehead, as if sealing a promise you both had waited too long to fulfill. In that moment, the years of pain and separation faded, leaving only the hope and love you held for each other and for the life you were about to build together.